Trump calling Hillary Clinton a nasty woman last night has now taken over the internet. If you didn't watch it live, take a look.
I am on record as saying that we need to put more money into the Social Security Trust Fund. That's part of my commitment to raise taxes on the wealthy. My Social Security payroll contribution will go up, as will Donald's, assuming he can't figure out how to get out of it. But what we want to do is to replenish the Social Security Trust Fund by making sure that we have sufficient resources.
Now, when that happened, we took note. I actually asked, I believe it was Jimmy Dort, did he really just say such a nasty woman? And he looks happy with himself afterward. I don't think that he realized that he was creating a basket of deplorables moment right there.
Yeah, well, first of all, my new slogan for my show is where the hombres are bad and the women are nasty. So I think my other direction for everybody is that the way the word is to be pronounced from now on is nasty.
Nasty. Like the word itself has to be nasty.
It has to be nasty. Onomatopoeia or whatever they call it. But yeah, she baited him. He took it. He's so easy that way.
He's so easy. He can be baited by a tweet or by an offhand comment. And I think for a lot of people, especially American women who feel like this is the sort of treatment that they've been getting throughout their lives and throughout history, but especially from Donald Trump, it's a nice way to encapsulate the big problem with Donald Trump, which is that this is a guy who, despite how many times he reminds us that nobody respects women more than he does, clearly has been driven by the fact that he both lusts after and despises women throughout the course of his life. And so this has been seized on, and a lot of women have been using it in various ways. We'd like to give credit to some on Twitter who've used it in funny ways. Lena Dunham, retweet if you're a nasty woman and it's made your life a freaking pleasure. Yes, she's another nasty woman, Lena Dunham, and doing a very good job for herself. Kat O'Keefe, please tell me someone is selling matching couple t-shirts that say nasty woman and bad hombre.
Excellent idea.
Which is going to be your shirt, shirt for your show.
Yeah.
And by the way, there are a million now. And so if you want to get a hat or a shirt or whatever, you can. Let's see. Emily Arata says, be the nasty woman you want to see in the world.
That's my favorite so far. That's awesome.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Alana Vagiano says, you know what a nasty woman is good at? Voting. And that, by the way, was attached to a GIF of President Obama dropping the mic, and you see there thousands of retweets. By the way, a pink and white nasty woman t-shirt is already on sale online with 50% of funds going to Planned Parenthood. You can see a picture of it right here. And so social media, merchandising, and also the Hillary Clinton campaign, before the debate was even over, seized on this. NastyWomenGetShitDone.com, by the end of the debate, was already forwarding to Hillary Clinton's website.
Awesome.
And look, again, in our wrap-up of the debate, we talked about some of our problems we had with the framing of some of the questions about the Second Amendment, about judicial philosophy, about debt, about Social Security coming from Chris Wallace, but also the fact that there was no questioning of the fact that we'll just have a permanent military presence in the Middle East.
Right.
Like, those are the substantive problems with the debate for Donald Trump and also for Hillary Clinton and for us. But these sorts of little asides have a life of their own, and on the internet, they can define a debate or a candidate.
Yeah, unfortunately, because Donald Trump is such a horrible human being, then there's just a lot of focus on his horribleness and not enough on the issues. And for example, Hillary Clinton, I mean, there was definitely not enough on war and peace and on the Middle East. Hillary Clinton was asked about her no-fly zone, which is a horrible idea that's going to create all sorts of bloodshed and chaos. And her answer was, well, you know, I wouldn't do it on day one. And by the way, what about those refugees and how about that terrorism? Huh?
And the refugees matter, but that's not what the question was about.
No, but it was totally slipping away from the fact that she has an idea so bad that even she can't defend it.
Well, it was bad when we criticized Jeb Bush and a whole bunch of the other Republicans during the primary. The question was very simple. If you set up a no-fly zone and Russia violates it, what would you do? And so she said, oh, well, I would advise Russia about the no-fly zone in advance. Okay. If you did that and then they violated it, what would you do? That is a very good question, and we need to know that. You can't set up a no-fly zone without understanding what would you do if it was violated, and she does not have an answer. Because I don't know what good answer you can give to that question. You shoot down a Russian jet? That's madness.
And it's total madness. And by the way, she still doesn't have a common sense policy for Syria. Her policy is let's support Assad and let's support the people that are fighting against Assad. And somehow that's all going to work out because, hey, what could go wrong?
Well, I'm sure the defense contractors would like that policy.
Sure.
Let's support them all.
Yeah,
Let's arm
absolutely.
everybody. Look, I don't have an easy answer or a complicated answer for what's going on in Syria, but I don't trust either of them at this point. And I don't think either of them going in thinks that they actually have a solution. I think that their goal will be to muddle through, minimize how much bad press we get about the situation in Syria, and we'll just see what happens in a decade or two. That's what it feels like at this point.
Corporate media
cannot play with them, cannot win with them, cannot coach with them, can't do it.
can't do it. Join the Young Turks. Be the independent media. Get all of our shows commercial free. TYTnetwork.com/join. Ooh, I thought that was pretty good.